and welcome to another episode of the Bobby and Beardy Show. There are time codes below should you wish to use them. Also, we're on Spotify should you wish to listen to any past or upcoming episodes on there. I'm Bobby, that gentleman over there is Beardy, and today we'll be discussing the film Fly Me to the Moon. Leave a like on the video if you feel so inclined, and also subscribe for more reviews in the future. There's my little plug. All my plugs done in one smooth motion.
You've done very well. Fantastic.
Probably the best I've ever done. I'll just recycle this one forever. Beardy, hello. How the devil are you, sir?
I am very good. I spent a lot of yesterday building furniture. I've been building Tegan an office because she's working from home more now. So that's a thing that I'm doing. Turns out I'm an angry man when it comes to building IKEA furniture. I didn't realise. I used to be so much more mild-mannered. Now, if something doesn't fit properly, yeah, not a good look on me. But hey ho, we move on. How are you? How's the house stuff going?
Yeah, not bad. Amy's actually doing a touch-up of the bathroom paint as we speak, because she's essentially fixing the edging that got ripped off by the frog tape last time.
You did such a good job of.
It looked so good, and then we took the tape off, and it just. So we're starting to fix that. Looking good. So it's kindly doing the edging for it now, so we can do a podcast. Thank you very much. Went out for coffee and cake earlier. It was tasty. And yeah, the weather doesn't know if it's good or bad. The week of summer well and truly ended down here in the south. A lot of rain recently, but occasionally the sun is popping out still, so not sure what's going on. And obviously England is still in the Euros, which is very frustrating. Because it means people are going to keep talking about England being in the Euros.
I had to miss the penalties to see this film.
Did you a favour? Actually, the penalties were the best bit of the match we're actually, for once, we're turning this into a sports podcast. England actually looked competent doing something with all of their penalties. Yeah. There were 5 good penalties, and the rest of the game, much like all the other stuff I've seen from this tournament, has been garbage. Anyway, that's quite enough. That's quite enough sports. That's
fine.
All right, you can say your sports. Tell me your sports.
I was just going to say I was watching the penalties from the cinema. I was that guy with his phone out, but it was in the credits, so it was fine. It was in the trailer, sorry. So as soon as it said turn your phone off, I did. I happily managed to get it in. I'm interested in the football, but obviously I've got Spain in the sweepstakes, so I'm happy to go against country to win some money.
Well, there we go. He's a betrayer of the nation, just like me, because I couldn't give a monkeys. I'm supporting the Netherlands, as I do every tournament. Have done since I was 6. Never mind. Anyway, let's crack on with the Fly Me to the Moon.
We shall. Stop distracting me.
Yeah. You also Wimbledon's on. There's been some tennis. Anyway, shut up. Here's the rundown of Fly Me to the Moon, which is a romantic comedy drama during the 1960s space race and the build-up towards the Apollo 11 mission. Directed by Greg Berlanti, the screenplay is by Rose Gilroy, and the story by Bill Kirstein and Keenan Flynn. The film stars Scarlett Johansson, Channing Tatum, Ray Romero, and Woody Harrelson, alongside Nick Dillenberg, Anna Garcia, Jim Rash. No, sorry, that name's funny. Noah Robbins, Colin Waddell, Christian Zuber, and Donald Elise Watkins. The release date for this movie is actually the 12th of July. We're recording before that because we've both seen early previews / releases. I went to the City World.
We're time travelers. Just let people.
We're time travelers. I mean, I would like to. We actually
just go back and change it. We're time travelers.
Great idea. We watched the 25th anniversary edition of this film, which came back into cinemas, and then we time traveled back to do the original podcast. We saw this. I saw the unlimited Cineworld screening on Thursday, and you watched it on the early release. This is something Cineworld seems to be doing a lot at the moment this year. They're getting things into the cinema like a weekend before the main release date, which I really like. When there's not much on, which we discussed last time. Budget of 100 million. There's no worldwide box office really at this point. I did check. Apparently it's made $500,000. But it's not out, so
it's not doing so great.
What I will add is I don't remember seeing a single trailer for this movie. like at all?
Oh, I saw loads.
Did you?
Yeah, generally. It was in cinema. I saw it on streaming. Yeah, I saw it everywhere.
Honestly, I haven't seen a thing about this film. The only reason I know it exists is because we were talking about what we were going to review next. And I was like, oh, this is coming out apparently. I'll go see it. Honestly, I haven't seen it. So, okay, we've got contrasting opinions there. My point was going to be, if there's no marketing budget behind this film, and the box office this year is down, is this film going to do any good? But if you've seen a load of stuff, then bloody fair enough.
But I do spend a lot of time looking for movie house data, things like Columbia, Screen Gems, TriStar through my work stuff. And obviously we have every streaming service. We watch Apple TV and they do plug their own stuff quite a bit. So it could be that. It could be because I search for the stuff and discuss the stuff, I get targeted ads that you don't.
Potentially, yeah. Speaking of Apple, it is an Apple streaming film. It was picked up by them. So I don't think the box office really is that vital for this film's success, because essentially it's going to go onto there as one of their big things to get people to look at. Yeah, let's crack on with the review. Beardy, let me tell you this. I'd like you to fly me all the way to the part of the podcast where you tell me what the story was.
Good segue. Outstanding segue. Love it. Okay, so Fly Me to the Moon is, as you mentioned, it's sort of like a kind of a romantic comedy, documentary drama piece about the Apollo 11 moon landing, the space race between America and Russia, how important that is. It follows the story of Scarlett Johansson's character, Kelly Jones, who is an ad exec, and she's been approached by a very shady White House character saying, you need to sell the moon to the American people. You need to make sure that people understand why we're spending this money. And that's pretty much the premise. There's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek around faking the moon landings, which I have a whole section I want to discuss on. Yeah, they had this little romantic element, which again, I have another thing I want to say there.
God, you're full of opinions. Good for this.
I've got loads of things to say. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole story. It follows the developments and how difficult it was, and the American people not really understanding why it was worth spending the money on, and obviously titled for the train song Drops of Jupiter. Thank you for getting that joke. My God.
Oh, this guy, everyone.
Held for a second. I was like, oh, this hasn't landed. Obviously, it's "Fly Me to the Moon" by Frank Sinatra. just to clear that up, I'm not an idiot. Well, I am, but not for that.
Oh, there we go. What a start. I would like to start my review of this film by saying that I now know where my cat Sabrina has been going when she disappears for hours and hours on end. Just getting to the point where I'm like, where's my cat? Should I be worried? Turns out I shouldn't be worried. She's gone to Hollywood. She's gone big time. And she's actually starring in this movie as a cat called Mischief. That cat, dead ringer for my cat. Incredible stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, hello. I found this movie to be very charming and quite funny. Just in general. It's definitely more rom-com than anything else, I would argue. It's taking history, taking conspiracy theories and silly rumors, and kind of going, let's do this thing with it. But it is a rom-com. No doubt about it. But I really enjoyed it. I was laughing pretty much all the way through when I was supposed to.
Yep.
Which sometimes you don't in a film.
I have to admit, I enjoyed it more than I expected to. I thought it would be fine. But it did draw you in a little bit more than I expected. Like you say, it is very charming. I kept looking across at Tegan and she was smiling almost the entire way through. Yeah, it's quite feel good, really. Considering how there's quite heavy topics in it, it's quite feel good. Yeah.
I think it's I don't know how much I can really. I don't think there's much to say non-spoilers for this film. I was thinking about this earlier.
Well, I have more.
I feel like it would just be easier just to talk spoilers so we could just have a chit chat.
It is.
In general, I find the general premise of the film is PR brought in to sell the moon landing, like you said, and then it kind of goes a step further with they might need to fake it because it becomes too big to fail.
Like a redundancy.
Yeah. It's a big old backup plan. And I found that really believable. Obviously, is it a true story? Conspiracy and stuff. But I found the genuine premise of it's too big to fail. We're going to have to fake this. That's made me think about it. Because previously when I thought about the moon landing as a fly, I'm like, shut up. Of course it's not fake because it would be too easily proven. And you can't keep a secret like that. Secret.
As they mentioned in the film.
I like, why would you even consider it being a thing? But then you bring in actually, we need to achieve this. We're spending so much money and we kind of need to just get one over on the Russians, like regardless. You go, yeah, I can believe that actually. I mean, I don't believe the conspiracy, obviously, but that's not the point of the film. The point of the film is, this is silly, isn't it? So.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, it definitely makes sense if you think it as a national, like say national security thing. Like they need to justify the money, they need to beat the Russians. So like say whoever got there first wins. It's a race. And it is one of those things, you can't have another failure. They've had a lot of failures in the past, and let's say you are trying to, I don't know, broadcast it live, and you see people dying live, like it's not going to go well. So it does make sense to have a backup, to have this redundancy. I do like what they do with the story, and again we'll get to that in spoilers, but it does make sense. Obviously there are ways to prove the moon landing happened. There's stuff there.
We were there. We're time travelers.
Very true. Yeah. Last week, or maybe next week. We don't know. God damn, that's dumb. But yeah, no. I do have some topics before we go into spoilers if you want.
Yeah. I can do a few as well. I'll do one and then you can do one. Okay. I told my dad about this film because I thought this might be. My parents aren't really the biggest cinema goers, but I was like, this film you guys might actually enjoy. So I told my dad about the movie, and he genuinely got cross with me, not at me specifically, but about the topic because he finds it so infuriating that people think the moon landings were faked. So I don't think he's going to go see it because he's too angry about the concept. If I'm honest with you, so that's one box office number down straight away because my dad's just cross about the people. My dad's cross at idiotic conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we go. Or just let you know.
So one of my things that I wanted to bring up, the topic of this film is very interesting, very important through actual history and for cinematic history. It doesn't need the romantic interest. There is something that I don't like when it comes to movies and TV shows at the moment where the subject matter in itself is enough to make a show about or a film about. I understand that a romantic interest draws a certain extra group of people and it's another story to put in, and you know what, I actually enjoyed the romantic interest in this. I'm not saying it was a bad thing, but just the concept of any show, any film, you have to add romance to it. You don't. This would have been a fine film without it. Like the personal interest of Scarlett Johansson's character's backstory, everything with Channing Tatum's character, the actual topic of going to the moon and potentially faking it. All of that is interesting enough. Like I say, the love interest I really did enjoy. I think it was quite charming, like you say, plus there was the back and forth and the little flirting parts. It was really nice. Maybe not as good as the love interest in The Fall Guy, but it was a close second this year. That's stiff competition. But it's just a pet peeve of mine, like the whole Will Smith thing, adding panic attacks for no reason. What romance doesn't have to be in there. But yeah, it's just a little pet peeve.
What I would say to that is this story wouldn't necessarily work without that because this story isn't real. So I think by going that one extra step, going, this is a rom-com, it's a feel-good, silly movie where they're going to be bickering a bunch because none of the characters are real. They're amalgamations of different people and things like that. And normally I would get annoyed by like taking a real person who did a real thing and going, we're going to change your name, we're going to change your personality, we're going to do this thing. But because the film's not about a real thing, I mean, it is. It's got this real premise, like historic fact, going to the moon and stuff. But we're concentrating on the silly conspiracy bit over here. So the fact that they've gone, actually, let's kind of like take the PR specialists who were genuinely brought in to help kind of get NASA into the good graces of the general public because they were so expensive and there were bigger things that the general public wanted the money to be spent on. They were at war at the time. The Cold War had been going on for a long time. So that's real. Mm-hmm. That's a real thing that happened. Yeah. But Scarlett Johansson's character is not a real person. And Channing Tatum's character's not a real person. They're based on positions, but they've gone for this romantic comedy as the style. And I don't mind that at all. I really enjoyed it, the aspects. But my point is it's not the real thing. So just go for it.
I get that completely, and like I say, I do think it adds an element to it. It does make it more enjoyable. It'll pull in extra people to watch it because some people will watch it just because it's a Scarlett Johansson, Channing Tatum rom-com. And the background story is, if you're watching it for that, the NASA side of it is secondary. If you're watching it for the NASA side, the rom-com is secondary, and I get that completely. It's just the principle of you don't always have to add that to important subject matter. This one it completely works on. And it does work in most, I'm not going to lie. Having that in there doesn't always ruin it. But sometimes it does, and it's just an annoyance of mine. You see it in like really, really heavy sort of medical dramas and obviously things like Suits, and it's all based on, well, this is really important anyway, but we're going to add this little extra twist because what's his face over there likes what's her name.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
I would say there's been quite a few movies made about quite a lot of things, but the space race in general, that have tried to go down the more historically accurate, realistic, this is what actually happened thing. So there's space in the market for a sillier, funnier, not 100% accurate thing that can also do. I'm not sure you can do this film as genuinely. I don't think you can do this film as well. Without,
I agree.
If you start doing the conspiracy stuff in a serious tone, I don't think that'd be fun.
I'm not trying to say about this film specifically. I'm saying films and TV in general don't.
He hates movies. Everybody, he just hates movies.
You're making me do this podcast. I don't want to be here.
This film, we're talking about it being about the space race and stuff. Actually, what it mostly is about is winning over senators who don't want to vote for it and want to shut down the project. The majority of this film, this is like, it's not really a big spoiler. It's them just trying to win over people who want to close NASA because it's just very expensive. And the funny ways they do it, Scarlett Johansson achieves these sorts of things with her PR background and the background of her character, which we might get into slightly more in a bit.
We will do. My other non-spoiler thing is just about the videography side of it. What I'm going to say is going to sound like a potentially bad thing, but it's not. But it's very obviously Apple, the way it's been recorded. If you've watched any of their other shows, they've done a really good mix of anything that's designed to be a bit more historically accurate, and the wider shots has this sort of slightly faded, decolored, older recording look to it to fit with the timepiece. But then as soon as you've got Channing Tatum, Scarlett Johansson, any of the main characters, they've gone very detailed, very vivid, highlighting the brights and especially the colours that they're wearing. Everything is a little bit cleaner.
I loved all of Channing Tatum's lovely, colourful tops.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like it was really well done. The costuming was fantastic. Even the way that they kind of set Scarlett Johansson's character in a slightly nicer clothing than her PA, because that would be sensible. That makes sense. All of the shoes and stuff were worn in, and it looked like they've been. Tegan told me a lot of things. She did obviously costuming as a background.
Tegan's fashion corner makes a return on the podcast.
Absolutely. But no, like it was really well done. It's just very obviously Apple if you've seen any of Apple's other shows, but not a bad thing. Just telling you.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed the fact that they used so much real footage in the movie to kind of blend it in.
So I don't know if they actually used it when they were there, but at the time they were recording this, there was a launch that happened at Cape Canaveral, and apparently they did record some of the launch in 4K. Now, in 4K, like usually the cameras would be using a 6K downscaled or maybe 8K downscaled, depending on the cameras they're using. But I found it interesting they did record it, but I couldn't find any information if they actually used part of that launch for it. I really wish I did. I really tried hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is interesting. No, I enjoyed the cinematography. I hadn't really put what you were saying about how Apple shoot movies together, but now that you've mentioned it, I'm like, yeah, I did see that. That was a thing.
Yeah.
I'm
happy to move on to spoilers and see what more.
I think it's probably better to Charlie Hanson brought it in, to do a job. So there's a bit of a clash between her and Channing Tatum. They fancy each other, but they've got jobs to do and they're doing the jobs differently. Channing Tatum's just too stressed to deal with someone else's perspective on things. And then, it's a rom-com. I'm going to do big old thumbs up, actually.
Same. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Yep. I was going to say quickly before we go to spoilers, 'cause it's not a spoiler. Jim Rash, he pulled a face for his name. Obviously, the character he plays. He plays one of the directors in this, which again you see very, very early on. He gets pulled back in. He is the Dean from Community, who is a fantastically flamboyant character, and he plays basically the same thing in this, and it is fantastic. It's just brilliant. I'm sorry, he is really, really good. When he's on screen, he kind of takes the show.
Another person who's in the film is Scarlett Johansson's husband.
Damn it! I was going to take that.
No, this is mine. This is my knowledge. And he's in it like a 2-3 minute scene maximum, and he's just very funny. As he's one of the senators they're trying to win over, and it's just amusing. All right, let's go into Spoiler Town.
Spoiler Town,
because this is a film about essentially trying to fake the moon landings and how they go about it. But most of the film is actually not that at all. The majority of the film, like I kind of said earlier, is them just trying to win over the public, win over senators. And then the end bit is now let's do the moon landing. We're going to build the set just as a backup. And then that becomes, no, we're going to do it for real. We're just going to do this on a closed set for safety. And we're not even going to tell NASA about it, and then NASA find out and stuff. But what did the public watch, Beardy? What did the public see? What was getting sent out there? Well, it was the real thing, wasn't it? That's bloody great news. Because there was a cat involved.
To be fair.
My cat!
One of the takeaways I got from this film is Sony saved the moon landing. Which is obviously the dumbest thing I've ever said, but I saw it and I was like, I'm going to have to say this. The reason I say this is the slightly shady White House character sabotages the camera that's going onto the moon just so they have to use the faked landing. Main characters find out just before the launch, and they kind of have to break into an electronics store, steal a Trinitron Sony TV, get the one of the pieces from it, and mount it into the camera to make it work. And I was like, yep, this makes perfect sense at the time. And to be fair, you can tell it's obviously a Columbia Studios thing because it's a Sony company, and except for one TV, every TV in it is a Sony. There's a Sharp at the beginning, but everything else is Sony. I noticed this stuff.
I don't at all. I do. That's an old TV they've just picked up there. They're driving it back. Good stuff.
I really wanted to find out which model it was, but I'm not going to be that guy.
No, I really enjoyed the fact that they obviously they would then the story becomes tricking Woody Harrelson, the CIA government mysterious
shady
man.
White House man.
Yeah, shady White House guy into thinking he's watching the real newscast.
Fake.
But yeah, no, he's watching the fake one in front of them.
Yes,
they set it up there, but really to everyone else in the world, they're seeing the real thing. And then it's going really well. Then there's a bit of doubt. He's like, oh, the light's not on in space. He's like, oh, bloody hell, which one are we actually looking at? And then it cuts back to those guys just as Sabrina, my cat, starts causing absolute havoc, running around in space on the closed set. And then Woody Harrelson learns a big lesson that don't try and fake the moon landing because a cat could turn up at any second. I found that all very fun.
Yeah.
To be honest.
No, it was honestly, the comedy pacing in this was very good, interlaced with the drama and the heavier points of it. Obviously, there's Channing Tatum's character who has been involved. I can't remember what his role is actually. He's like launch director or something.
He's launch director, yeah.
He's launch director, perfect. But obviously, he has this sort of not exactly cursed background, but tortured background. He was a pilot, flew 52 missions in Korea.
A war.
Yeah, it's Korea. It has to be Korea.
A war. I don't know. It's
a war. Anyway, yeah, it's in one of the wars. And then he wants to be an astronaut, but he has a heart issue, which is a whole story piece for him. And then the whole Apollo 1 mission, which went horribly, and he's very wrought with guilt about that, even though it's not exactly his thing, and it comes out in a televised event. And
it's a very rude news
subject.
interviewer. Very rude.
Yes, yeah. Peter Jacobson to be fair, he plays his character well. He plays a similar character in House as Dr. Taub. He's just very brutal and blunt.
He's rude. He said he wouldn't ask about Apollo 1, and then he bloody did. Rude.
To be fair, Channing Tatum brings it up. He asks about the pin, and he's going, "Oh, the wives of the Apollo 1 guys gave me this." Like, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, probably should have said, yeah, it's nice. It's a nice badge. It represents the Apollo missions.
Pretty pin.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I do think that obviously it follows generic rom-com pacing of they meet. There's like a little meet cute to begin with, where he sees her at a bar and she's caught on fire, and then like he has to come back in and be like, "You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen, but I've got to go. I'm never going to see you again. I can say what I want." Next day sees her. Then obviously they fall out straight away, and then they learn to like each other more and trust each other more, and then the whole thing. And then suddenly more calamity happens, and he finds out about the faking, and yeah, it's the back and forth, but it plays out nicely, and it has some nice events. The flight scene where they go to one of the senators is nice.
Yeah, everything's going well until classic rom-com where it's not going well, and then they get in and it's fine at the end. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I just had the greatest point in my head about things. It's completely left my brain. It's left my brain. I don't know what I was going to say.
We were talking about rom-com pacing and the good, the bad, and then the bad again.
It's gone. It's totally gone.
No.
What movie are we talking about? I genuinely have no idea what I was about to say, so that's fantastic.
We're professionals, by the way, everyone.
That's what happens. Leave me alone. Get off my back. No, I really enjoyed the fact that just this isn't what I was going to say, but I'll swing back to it. Maybe I'll remember. I really enjoy the fact that they fake the moon landing, but because then you can have all the conspiracy theories of, did they? I mean, they had a set. There were so many people on set as well. So many people knew about it. There's no way that's being kept secret really in real life, especially with like Russian spies and things being around.
Yeah.
100% gonna leak. So they can do all of that funny, this is happening, but then the actual thing that gets shown to the public is the real moon landing. So you can have the conspiracy thing in the background as a funny joke, but then we showed you the real thing, so it's all grand. I just kind of liked that aspect.
Yeah. My
out.
biggest issue is there's going to be more conspiracy theories brought out again. It's going to be a hot button topic for a while. People are going to mention it more
because never going to end.
To be fair, no. But I haven't heard about it in a long time, and I was enjoying that as much as I get a lot of flat Earth stuff coming to me recently. My God, yeah, I can't be dealing with this. But good film, funny film.
Yeah,
very much.
I enjoyed it.
I also really enjoyed Ray Romano's character, and
he's good. He's like the heart of it almost.
Yeah, and the fact that he's so easily led, but it's just so endearing and it's so nice.
Totally manipulated.
It's absolutely fine to take photos of this. There's going to be a book. You can write the foreword. And suddenly the next scene, he's like, "Everybody get here. You know what? I'm going to think we're going to the moon," like which she's just told him to say, like the last scene. And he's like, "I'm thinking of this. This is my plan now." Yes. It's dumb and I love it.
The only thing I didn't like about this film is at the very end, where Woody Harrelson is leaving, having almost ruined the day, but then it got saved, and he's like, "I forgive you because otherwise this would have gone horribly wrong because you sent out the real footage." And then he wanders off into a car park to his car, singing "Fly Me to the Moon," and I was like, I just don't like this bit. Stop doing this. No, I know why you're doing it, but I'm like, no, don't do this. It was weird. I didn't like the character beat for him. I was like, nah, you. At one point, he's in Scarlett Johansson's hotel room, sitting in the dark, waiting for her to come back, and now he's in the car park dancing and singing along to Frank Sinatra. Nah, not the same man.
Yeah, no. My biggest issue with that is just how badly he sung the song.
Maybe that's why I didn't like it.
That was my problem.
Maybe that's what's in my brain. I'm like, no, I didn't like that.
Tone was bad, pacing, like it was offbeat. It was just not well done. I didn't mind his little dancing and singing in the car park as much as it's a bit odd. Just wasn't good. It just wasn't good at all.
Oh dear. Right, I have no idea what I was going to say. It has not come back to me. So if you've got any final thoughts, now's the time to say them, or we'll wrap up.
I think wrap up, but if you do remember what you're saying, you can just write it in the comments and start a discussion in the comments.
I'll let you know when I remember in 4 seconds after we stop recording. That's always the way.
The thing is, it'd be much better if future you came back and told us now to do that. But
yeah, future me could do me a favor. Maybe future me also hasn't remembered though. If there's no comment below saying what I was going to say, future me also has no clue. So there we go. All right, take us home, Beardy.
Okay, well, once again, thank you very much for watching and or listening. If you're, well, remember that obviously we've got YouTube for seeing pretty faces. Mine more than his, obviously. I'm just stealing what you said earlier off camera. Screw you, go away.
Don't remember saying that.
You can catch Bobby as Bobby Android streaming on Twitch. He was building some lovely Lego recently, and I see there's more coming.
There's so much Lego coming.
Exactly. You're making me want to build Lego, if I'm
honest.
Build it.
It's fun. It's relaxing.
Just trying to find a set I like. But anyway, we're derailing the ending again, as we always do. I don't stream. Don't find me. Don't look for me. I'm never going to stream again. Even though I've got this, like, I've been telling you, I've been building this massive streamer setup, and I just haven't got around to doing anything just yet.
It's such a lie.
Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Who knows? I'm very busy. Thank you very much for listening. Hopefully you loved our disjointed podcast. There's going to be many more to come. Who knows what's next? But thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.